Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I swear each and every time I make one of these videos, my mind kind of just goes blank and I completely forget about what I want to talk about. This specific video is going to be about my PDD-NOS diagnosis. I was diagnosed at a relatively young age. I actually have a stack of, these are all psychological evaluations um, that were performed um, when I was relatively young. And so the interesting thing about this, or the weird part about this, is I don't remember any of these evaluations. It's almost as if my body went into this defense safety mode to protect me. Um, and when I go through all these psychological evaluations and I read through them, it definitely has a negative effect on my self esteem. I'd say about 80% of the things written in these psychological evaluations are pretty negative. And so it's actually hard to go through all of these um, and read what was said about me in these psychological evaluations. Now, if anyone out there is watching this video and has experienced something similar as far as having all these psych evals but not remembering any of them, I encourage you to comment down below. It would definitely be nice to have someone out there that can relate to me in this aspect. So these psychological evaluations started in 1988 and went through 1997. So we are talking about 9 years of psych evals. And I really do think they took a toll on me. Definitely took a hit to my self confidence because I feel like they mostly focused on the negative aspects of my development um, and spent no time focusing on any of my positives. And so this went on for about 9 years. I was diagnosed with PDD-NOS, I want to say, in the late 1980s. Um, Now, PDD-NOS is no longer used as a label. It was discontinued in May 2013. Now, someone like me displayed some traits that were on the autism spectrum, but not enough to be labeled with the standard autism label. And so this is when people would be labeled with PDD-NOS. So there are multiple things associated with PDD-NOS, also known as pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. And so one of these things is delayed speech. And I can definitely attest from my own personal experience that I had delayed language. By age 3, I don't believe I was speaking much verbally. I had a few words in my vocabulary, but I would kind of mumble words and point, and that was basically about it. And I had speech therapy all through elementary school. And as time went on and I became an adult, I kind of grew out of this. I don't really have too much trouble with my speech nowadays. So if anyone has a child who has autism that has speech delays, if they have the intervention that they need and it's caught early enough, your child can go on to speak pretty normally as an adult. Along with my language delays, I also had great difficulty with communication. And so I had a lot of trouble making new friends for most of my schooling. And so most of the time, this led to me being in a class full of children, but yet I felt so alone because I didn't know how to communicate in the way that I needed to in order to make friends. So I was always kind of like the black sheep. I was the student in class that not many people talk to. And so this led me to feeling very isolated. And so it gave me a lot of challenges as a child in school. I always wanted to be, the popular kid. I always wanted to be the type of person that could have a lot of friends in school because let's be honest, we all want to feel needed and wanted. We all want to have friends. But, you know, being diagnosed with PDD-NOS, it can make that very, very challenging. So along with the delayed language, I also had a communication deficiency. So because of this, I was not able to express my needs. So most times my needs were not being met. And so this kind of, even as a child, it led to me being a little resentful. And so it affected me in that aspect, but it also affected me, like I alluded to earlier in this video, making friends. I lacked the vocabulary um, to be able to have the language I needed to make friends. I didn't know what words to use, how to use them, when to use them. So this kind of prevented me from talking to other students, and it led me to basically keep to myself and be quiet. You know, talking is a primitive form of communication. So you can imagine being a child and having delayed speech as well as communication issues and behavioral issues. You know, it can really put you behind the eight ball as far as development. And so being diagnosed and labeled with autism is something that will follow me throughout my whole life. Autism isn't something that you can grow out of. It's something that you have to live with. And I have to swallow that and I have to accept that. And I hope that by making these YouTube videos, you know, someone in a similar circumstance can really relate to what I am saying. So if you are a parent and you suspect that your child may have autism, I want to really stress this, that it's very important, even paramount, to get your child evaluated, because if they are indeed autistic, they will need a lot of additional help and resources. And early intervention increases the probability that they can become well adjusted adults in society. Now, what works for one autistic child may not work for another. You know, no two people are exactly alike, and it's the same with autism. It differs. There's three different levels of autism, and some are mild, and some are more severe cases where that child is going to need their parents for their whole life, basically. And then, you know, others with autism, milder forms of autism, can go on to hold jobs and be responsible adults. And another thing I want to add here is while you're going through this evaluation process, I think it's important to get behind your child and get behind some of their strengths so that you can empower your child. So even in the midst of going through these evaluations that can be really difficult, you can give your child confidence and the support they need so that they become adults that have, you know, a good level of confidence in themselves. One other thing I want to add is even though PDD-NOS is no longer a term used in the autism field/community, I believe it's still important to talk about. From a video I posted on YouTube about 2 years ago, it's a YouTube Shorts video, I learned that there are quite a few people seeking information on PDD-NOS. Now, from what I've searched on YouTube, I can't find a whole lot of information on PDD-NOS. And so I think it's important for me to continue to make these videos to talk about my own personal experiences. Now, within the comment section, there's one specific video that I want to read to you. This person goes on to write, I've rarely seen people with the exact same autism as me. I was diagnosed with PDD-NOS when I was 2 or 3 years old. I struggled with school because I couldn't focus. I can only learn about things I find really interesting. I don't know anyone like me, but this video is a step closer to finding out why I am the way I am. Being an adult is hard now because growing up I got the help I needed. But now that I'm an adult, I am left to help myself. With time, I guess I'll get better. Like that comment means a lot because I can completely relate to it. I feel the exact same way. And so I will continue to put out these autism videos. I hope that I can find an audience or that an audience finds my videos. Regardless, until my next video, have a great one. Goodbye for now.